And to tie it back to the losing the two lads, like as tragic as it's been, it's put me on a journey of trying to understand myself a little bit more, because at the end of the day, the person you got to look after is you. If you look after you can look after others.
That's
I got
perfect.
the Johnny Cash voice.
Yeah, yep.
Sweet.
Folsom Prison.
Good for you.
Mate, I'm fucking sweet. I'm ready.
Legit. All right, we ready?
Where's the record button?
Dick Fingers has it over here.
Dick fingers. What are you?
You ready?
With your dick? Sorry, no.
Okay, go. You ready?
Fuck everything I touch, apparently. Yeah, I'm ready. We're
Record?
on. We're on.
Oh, we're recording.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're good. We're good.
All right, great.
Don't worry, those
Welcome
bits will get
back,
cut out. It's all
welcome
good.
back.
All right. Quick pause. All right, I'll start it now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trademutt's 120 Grit podcast, the podcast for the working class. Lucky enough to have another great guest in the studio with us today.
Is he special?
He's always special. Yes, this one is special. It's more special than most. He's the co-founder of the Mental Health Awareness Foundation, owner of Trusted Pest Management. He's a yoga teacher, and he's a bloke who made it on a trip to Burning Man with Mr. Scott Hutchinson once upon a time. Mr. Wes Vasile, welcome.
That's it. We're going to reveal all the secrets of Scott today.
Yes. There's many things to be brought out here in this this episode of 120 Grit.
Now, just a little backstory. We know each other from the building site, actually.
We do.
Early days. But, yeah, this wasn't a thing back in those times.
No. Yeah, well, 8 years ago is when I started Trusted, but I think I knew you before that. So
Yeah.
that's going.
I've got to tell you, yeah, you mustn't be very good at pest management, because somehow you always let this idiot on site.
What, me?
The pest.
I've
You're an
sprayed him many times, my friend. He's very resilient.
Yeah, I am resilient. Yeah, like one of those cockroaches in a nuclear
Yeah,
blast.
exactly.
Make it through anything.
No,
Thanks for coming in, Wes.
my pleasure.
We appreciate your time, obviously. Well, as Dan said, we've known you for a while, and we saw you at a golf day last year too,
Yes.
didn't we? That's right.
Yep. Macca, no, it was Macca. Fatty.
Fatty,
put it on.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
Fatty,
right.
big legend. Yep.
That was a great day.
Yeah.
That was a
It
good
was a really
day.
good day.
Yeah, I think he raised like 12 grand.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it was unreal.
awesome.
It was unreal. And basically, great to have you in here and have this yarn. So let's kick it off with you're a local Brizzy boy.
certainly am.
Yeah,
Yep. 39 years, born and bred.
Briz Vegas. It's the
Who would've
best town in
thought,
Australia.
Isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. So you do you think you were going to get into pest control when you're in high school?
Management.
Sorry, pest management.
No, yeah. Well, I used to work for my dad, which was Tudor's Pest Control, so you could say that. It's funny, when I was at school, I remember the boys I was growing up with were like, oh, you're just going to do pest control. And, mate, I was like, no, I'm not. Fuck that. No way. Anyway, when I got an OP of 8, which you could say is relatively...
Mate,
Oh,
ditto.
you're an 8 boy.
Fucking welcome.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
And I thought... I actually enrolled into psychology.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I went through sort of 6 months, and man, they throw the kitchen sink at you when it comes to content. And I just couldn't handle it. Actually, I was like, no, I need a break. And then I was like, I don't want to do psychology. I want to do something that I really enjoyed, which was environmental stuff. Anyway, I thought, let's defer for 6 months. And Dad said, oh, why don't you come work for me? I went, oh, okay, I've had nothing to do. And yeah, went and worked for him for 1 week, and he paid me $300 cash. I was 18 years old, and mate, I was the only 18-year-old. This is back in '99 that had any money. And
pissed that away pretty quick.
Yeah. And I admittedly got hooked onto that because I was earning cash. And yeah, to answer your question, did I ever think? No. However, am I blessed that I'm into it? Certainly am.
Yeah, wow. What like obviously the psychology thing, how quickly did you know that you were going to bail out of that?
Mate, dude, within 3 months, like easy. Just they actually do it for a reason, and it is because they want people that are going to be committed and justified and go, no, I'm going to see this through. So it's for the right reasons. It was probably just an overload for me. I think if I was to go back now, knowing what I know about psychology and mental health and whatnot, I'd probably survive more because I'd have that resilience. But mate, I was 18. All I wanted to do was party and chase girls and all that kind of stuff. So it just wasn't the right time for me.
Yeah, right. You're a bit of a traveller as well. Were you a traveller back then?
Yeah. I've did 4 years overseas.
Oh, wow.
Lived overseas.
Whereabouts?
I did did the UK thing. So I went to London and then I moved up to Edinburgh and lived there for a year and a bit. And then I moved and then I did 3 months backpacking, 3.5 months backpacking all through Europe, which was awesome. Then I went to Canada for 2.5 years, sorry. Did 2 seasons. Brizzy boys, there's snow everywhere here in winter, as you know. I'd never seen snow, so got hooked on the snowboarding train. And then I backpacked all through Central America, came back to Canada, and then came home from there. So that was, literally, let's just call it 4 years.
Awesome. Holy shit. Yeah, that's great.
And then every year I try and get away. I go to America a lot. As we'll probably talk about with Burning Man. But, I just love travel. I think it's good for your soul. And actually our business also Trusted's in the Philippines. So
you'd be busy over there.
Yeah, there's lots of pests. Yeah, many pests and it's hot. But you just see how lucky we are here in Australia. And if you haven't travelled, it's a good way to sort of realise, what we have and how blessed we are.
Yeah, right. So you've just gone through with on the pest management side of things. You've gone through working for your old boy.
Yep.
And then how have you come to be owning your own operation?
Yeah. So good question. In 2000, actually, my cousin-in-law, he started up Trusted Pest Management, and I remember he actually called me. He's like, "Oh, mate, do you want to join our business?" Because I was working for Dad, and I said, "Oh no, I'm happy here." Anyway,
in direct competition with the old boy.
Yeah, indirect. I actually helped train him, funny enough, when he first started, and then he went off and did his own thing, and good on him. But then 12 years later, just timing. Unfortunately, he split from my blood cousin, and he just had some mental health issues, and he just wanted out. And I had done 12 years with Dad, and it was just the right time. I was ready to sort of grow because with Dad, it was just Dad and I. And my brother, I guess, saw an opportunity, and my cousin-in-law, I should say. So we just said, well, listen, we'll take over, and I left Dad, and Dad was actually really good about it. He's like, no, I understand, and yeah, we've gone from three staff to 17. So.
Ran the old boy out of business.
Well, he actually refers his work, would you believe? Because he's just a one-man band, so cool. Like a business that might have a couple of locations, he can't service, so he's like, oh. Use these guys, they're pretty good.
So you've got into business with your brother?
Yeah, so Tudor and I, we're business partners.
Yeah, right.
So we're yin and yang.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 100, he's good cop, bad cop. So,
yeah, right.
I'd say I'd probably take on the good cop element and he's the bad cop element. But it works, we're different energies, but it suits in business. And I'm very grateful for my brother. And he actually was the drive of us going down into Sydney. And we're established in Sydney now. And we're also in Melbourne. And then through my brother, we've met our CEO who runs our business now. And now we're in the Philippines, and yeah, we're worldwide.
Mate, it's unbelievable.
Chasing bugs worldwide.
How's the relationship been with your brother since you went into business with him?
Mate, listen, we're very blessed. And not to use the name, but there's absolute trust there. However, we do clash, and that's that yin and yang energy. But like if I step back from there's micro and macro. From the micro, we definitely have our testing times, and sometimes I'm being like, fuck, I fucking want to hit you.
Yeah.
However, if I look at the macro, he's an awesome, beautiful person that has the priority is business and making sure it runs properly and doing the right thing by both of us. And if I look at that, mate, he's awesome. Yeah. So and we've just got we've got similar drives and similar goals, or we want to be successful in terms of the business sense and build something beautiful. And his energy's been honestly why we've expanded, because it was him that made that step, and where I could have just stayed in Brisbane and created a great business, but he was that push, and I'll be forever grateful.
So how do you resolve conflict? Because let's be honest, you have it out with each other.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So how do you do it? Because like we've just been talking through a whole lot of stuff even here, and we want to put steps in place, and the Trademutt pillow if we need to.
Oh yeah.
If we need to
The
clutch,
new office charter.
It's
how do you do it?
well, you know that saying, "Don't go to bed angry."
Yeah.
It's a bit of that philosophy. So like we'll have it out. However, we will always come back to each other and just talk to each other normally, because at the end of the day we're family and there's love, right? And yes, sometimes we genuinely don't agree on a situation. However, it's either we're getting a lot better at it. It's trying to find the middle ground. It's like, okay, cool. Well, you believe this and I believe that. Can we let's try and find something in the middle. However, we never leave angry. We're always like, cool, because at the end of the day, that's just one thing. There's so many other things going on over here that you need to be ready for or dealing with. So yeah, it's that philosophy of finding the middle ground, like acknowledging, right, we're not, agree to disagree, find that middle ground, and then just know that, hey, I love you, and don't go to bed angry.
That's awesome. So communication is the key.
Yep. Communication's everything.
Yeah.
It really, even with the mental health side of things or relationships or your culture at work. I know that you guys are expanding and getting bigger, but one thing we do with our staff is communicate.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's a big thing that we've always wanted to instill with what we're doing here. Obviously, we're starting conversations on a broad level, but internally, I mean, where we were working before this, there was always communication breakdowns, and it just led to more trouble, people not knowing what their roles and responsibilities were and where expectations lied. So that is just such a huge centerpiece for conflict and that when there's a miscommunication. So it's so important. You're dead right.
Well, it's also an art. Like, it's not just talking, is it? It's like it's tone, it's word selection, it's listening as well. Massive part of it.
And my advice, in particularly in business and even outside of it, is just make time for the opportunity to speak and communicate. Like, so make your meeting time with everyone, or make your time that you guys sit together and go, right, what's working, what's not working, so that, rather than have a small thing then blow up into a big thing because you haven't talked about it, it's like, well, let's step on it straight away.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the big thing is having an all-encompassing meeting once a week, once a fortnight with the whole team.
Correct.
And just allowing, creating a culture where people are from right down to an intern, right up to CEO, happy to bring something out in front of everyone and open that line of communication and have that trust that their opinion will be listened to.
Yep.
And
they say with culture, if you've got bad culture, it starts from the top down, right?
Shit flows downhill.
Shit flows downhill.
100%. And it does. And if you guys can come from a level of transparency in what I do with our stuff, like we've got 17 now, like I'm always open for a conversation or open to talk, and it's just be that person that says, I'm here to speak to everyone. There's no ego driven stuff. Anyone can talk to me, from the receptionist to the most senior person, that we all speak on the same level.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
How
it's
good's
awesome.
that?
And especially from, because trade, I find, I'm not trying to stereotype, but from experience, trade businesses are normally the worst for communication when it's such a reliant on communication, because there's so much shit going on in the trade industry. So, mate, it's awesome. Yeah,
one thing I'm trying to do with because we're tradies with our blokes, is just try and show a bit more empathy, like understand that, like try and see how they're seeing things, and then how we wanted it to be seen, and then try and find that middle ground. So just showing empathy, go, right, I can see where this has gone wrong, right? However, this is the result we needed. What do you think you could have done better?
Yep.
Rather than coming and going, you fucked that up, you fucking idiot. Like, it just, that doesn't serve anyone, and we're coming into that area where that's the past.
Well, negativity and bringing people down on their mistakes, it just, again, from my point of view, does nothing. It's bringing people up on the positives and what they're good for, and then giving that constructive criticism is just so crucial for development of everyone around you.
Well, I'll give you a cool little stat, boys. So you have the ability to affect 5 people around you. So if you walk in this door and your attitude's shoulders are slumped and you just 5 people within your proximity of 5 meters will pick that up, and they'll carry that energy. where being a leader or someone that's in that position that needs to understand what's going on, you need to be that person that brings in that energy of, right, either positivity or be that person that's like, okay, hey, what's going on here? Let's change it, above the line thinking. So, yeah, and that's one thing that I've sort of promoted with our guys. Like, I know we all have good days and bad days, but just remember, when you walk into our office, what energy are you bringing into that environment? That are you wanting to bring down all these people, or are you wanting to uplift all these people? So it's just taking that time to be mindful and go, hey, how am I walking into this room?
That's a segment. Perfect. That was awesome. I love that. And it's so true. It's the whole, pick yourself up, rock your shoulders back and walk in there with enthusiasm.
And trust me, not every day is going to be like that, but it's just like, am I going to be above the line or below the line when I walk into this situation? So, as I said, not every day is going to be like that, but if you can get 8 out of 10, that's 8 out of 10. It's pretty good.
So you'll be going on to a fair few residential building sites around Brisbane?
Mate, all of it. I'm blessed, mate. I've done Hutchie's stuff. I won't say the building, but termites on the 8th floor of, it blows your mind, what we find. So I've gone from where there's 500 people on site to 2 people on site. I'm very blessed that way. But one way I do carry myself into all sites is I pride myself in it. I'm just consistent with my attitude and who I talk to. So you could be the CEO of Commonwealth Bank and I'll be the same person that talks to you blokes here that I talk to him. And I think people appreciate that, particularly when you go onto a building site. And I never try and stamp my authority. I always just sort of taking the surroundings around me and always just be mindful that everyone's trying to do a job and get a job done. And we're just here to work with you and get that job done.
You're actually sounding a little bit like Darren Lockyer, who's he one of his big points was respect, and talking about and that's what you're talking about right now. It doesn't matter who you are, it's about respect. But he was on about it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, whether it's in his career, post-career, whatever, he will always take the time to, give someone the time of day and respect them. And his whole thing was, if you take that approach into life, everything will be okay.
Mate, totally. And I'm blessed with my job. I walk into million dollar houses and $100,000 houses, and, you get all types of people. But I just come in with that respect of everyone because people appreciate it and people will see it from the start. And, no judgment, just I'm here to do a job or I'm here to solve a problem and work with those people.
Awesome. That's bloody fantastic.
Well, let's get up.
Yes.
The story, how the Mental Awareness Foundation came about.
Yep. Yeah. No, thank you. So in 2010, I was in Las Vegas and was celebrating there, and
what was on? Was it just a?
It was just a
weekend
New Year's,
event?
brother.
Oh,
it was just New Year's, and
nice.
It's one of those scenarios where I won $3,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
US?
And US.
Oh, convert that. What's
And,
that about 5?
No, you won, buddy.
Yeah. No, well,
you
you
won.
No, I'm saying whether I was
Pesos.
3,000 Australian. I'm like, oh, that's great. That's better. Yeah.
3,000 pesos, which is $3. But I had a great night. I remember moonwalking backwards through the Mirage Hotel, and it was like 6 a.m. in the morning. Anyway, I went to sleep and woke up and grabbed my phone and went through just the Facebook feed, because Australia's obviously 18 hours earlier, and all of a sudden one of my closest mates, Christian, all of a sudden this missing. That picture of someone's missing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like that's not Christian at all. Anyway, I couldn't really do anything because I was away. But then 5 days later, I was in Mexico, and I found out that he took his life, which was actually on New Year's Day. They didn't find him for 5 days later. So where I was, I actually threw up, and it was pretty horrible. And then I got home. It was actually the Brizzy floods were on. Flew in, started sandbagging my house, and then on the 14th of January, which was actually his birthday, it was his funeral. And then at his funeral, I was sitting next to David, and David and I are sharing tears because we both surf. Christian was a surfer. And then 3 months later, I was at David's funeral. because he took his life.
Holy shit.
So two of my closest mates, Christian built my house that I live in now, so he was a tradie, and then Dave, he was in and out of trades, sort of a jack of all trades, but both beautiful people. And from that experience, like I'd never, like, you know, I'd known about suicide, but I'd never been touched by suicide. Like I'd never had it in like that close of a friendship circle. You know, you always heard of a friend of a friend. Sorry, boys, I'm starting to shake a little bit here, but I was living in New Farm. I was just staring at the floor, and I just had to get outside. And as my fitness routine, I used to run the Brisbane River Loop, and getting outside was just my coping strategy. And I used to do that loop because I'd get fresh air, and you know, you got the cliffs and then the go-between and the park and the bridge, and it's just beautiful. And it was just a little, I guess, my coping mechanism to get outside and deal with the numbness and the confusion. And it was from that I was just like, fuck, I want to pay tribute to these awesome boys. And I just thought, fuck it, let's try and do something. So I remember calling Beyond Blue, and I said, I want to try and raise some money for you guys. And they said, yeah, cool, and sent me their terms and conditions, and it was fucking 3 pages long. I'm like, I just want to raise some money. So anyway, I thought, fuck it, let's bring this walk. I love this walk. I think it's beautiful. I want to get people outside. And the only legal thing was I booked the park. Everything else was, amplified music was, I did all this shit wrong. But ignorance is bliss. And, mate, we had 120 people turn up to the first walk. And my brother, so we had that year, and then this is where it gets really hectic. My brother was running over the Brisbane Story Bridge, and unfortunately a guy 10 metres in front of him had a bag. He was sniffing petrol, took a sniff, put it down, and then just threw himself off the bridge.
This is Tudor.
My brother witnessed it. My brother, right in front of him, and my brother called me because I lived in New Farm. I raced up there, and unfortunately, this gentleman was he was dead. So that was the catalyst to go, fuck, we got to keep doing what we're doing. And so we did it the second year, and we had 180 people. And from that experience, we started learning about how prevalent the Story Bridge was for suicides. And it was one of those dirty little secrets that Brisbane had, which is fair enough. Like they talk about the copycat syndrome and stuff like that. And I apologise if I've mentioned those areas, but that's just truth. And we obviously wanted to try and make a difference. So we wanted to bring the walk and then also try and highlight the issues of the bridge. So our second year, we had 180 people come. Helen Abraham local members started getting behind us, and she was like, right, there's actually a petition to putting the fencing up on the bridge. Our third year, we had 220 people pull up, and we actually had quite a few people take the signatures down because they believed in what we were spruiking about, trying to get fencing up on the bridge. And on that fourth year, the funding got approved for the bridge because we'd sort of done that final push to get that. Fourth year, we had 600 people.
Wow.
Fifth year, we had 1,200 people. Sixth year, 1,800 people. Seventh year, 2,000.
Unbelievable.
Now we're at 3,000 people.
Wow.
So
that's incredible, mate. Take us back to your two mates.
Yes.
Who took their lives.
Yep.
Were there any signs, any...
Christian, no, 100% no. David, you could argue within our friendship circle, yes. Unfortunately, in terms of signs, just, we were a lot younger back then, so we'd been partying rather heavily, probably drinking excessively at times, not having the emotional resilience back then as well, dealing with situations in terms of toxic relationships and whatnot. And then Dave, poor Dave, just not sort of being able to hold down a job. I sort of, if I reflect now, sort of in and out of scenarios.
Lacking a sense of purpose.
Absolutely. Yep. So David, you could probably now, knowing what I know now, you could look back. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, but you could probably say there was a few signs. But boys, back then I didn't have those skills, which we'll probably talk about, to pick up on signs, because I'd never been touched by it. I'd never seen it. I'd never really been sort of interacted with it. And I hadn't even focused on my own mental health, let alone someone else. So
that coping mechanism of that you talked about, getting outside, knowing that you needed to get outside and exercise. I mean, that's a pretty, obviously a very wise decision. I mean, a lot of people deal with grief in different ways and not such healthy coping mechanisms. How did you, I suppose, I'm sort of lost here. I don't know, like it's kind of giving me a little bit of...
I think what you were going to ask was why choose that rather than, some of the easier options, which is to sit at home and get on the booze or something like that.
I guess for me, I've been lucky enough that exercising has been, a part of my life, playing sport, and I just enjoy... keeping fit. So getting outside wasn't a problem. However, what I just found was when I was outside, it just made life easier for me. Perhaps taking my mind off the scenario that happened. And now with all the research coming out, like getting outside, getting into nature, getting yourself moving, it is so beneficial for your mental health just to to alleviate that judge or that voice in your head. I was lucky that it was something natural for me. And if you're listening to this, please do just get outside and start walking, start moving, if anything, because getting the blood flow through your body, it helped me, and I know it can help many others.
What did you, when these tragedies happened, obviously you were just floored, as well as your close family or your friendship circle. What was the first sort of steps in your journey of looking after your own mental health? Or was it a point of starting the foundation and worrying about everyone else around you, or was it more yourself first and then second? What was the...
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what actually happened was the friendship circle, particularly my close friends, started talking to each other a bit more, as in asking, I actually remember now, it's giving me a little bit of chills, but asking, hey, how's your mental health? Like that was probably more of a better, more questions were popping up that way. And then just learning that, drinking piss fucking 5 days in a row is just not good for you, And I think obviously I was in my 30s, I was growing out of that. My career was starting to take over, and I wanted to be more alert. So I just knew that I had to sort of have a few more skills in place where I was fitter, healthier, more clear of mind. So I just started realizing that, and you boys know, like we're up at 4:30, or I am, and drinking or having late nights or even staying up late isn't conducive to getting up at 4:30 in the morning and trying to run a business or trying to be good at what you do.
Yeah.
So I just started realizing that I needed to look after myself more.
Yeah.
However, it was those events, those tragedies, sadly, that just started making me realize that, shit, man, I need to sort of focus on me a bit more.
It sort of coincided with a bit of a coming of age.
Correct.
And a bit of perspective, right?
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing with, if you look back at your 20s, you're just learning, you just want to party. And
well, you think you've got it all fucking worked out.
No, you don't.
Oh, shit, no. And I still don't.
But lots of people think they're supposed to.
No,
that's a big trap.
I don't. Well, not so much supposed to. I think that they do.
Yep.
I think people just get, they're just like, oh, this is what it is. You know what I mean? And then because, well, I suppose I was fortunate because Dan's like a few years older than me. And when we first started.
Can't tell.
Yeah, I know. Shit. When we started working on saving money to be able to start this business, we were working 7 days a week, so I didn't have an opportunity to go and get on the grog.
Yep.
And I just met my future wife, and we were, early into dating, we were starting to doing this. So I was lucky enough I had an excuse not to be going out and getting on the booze.
Yep.
But I was still getting the kickback of, you're not going and doing another work this weekend. Shit, come on. And it was lucky for me I had that excuse. If I didn't have that, I don't think, I would still be in that old routine, I think, and it's sort of circumstantial. It's not so much you use the circumstances around you rather than just like, I'm just going to go and do this now. I think it's interesting how your life transpires.
But you got to give a little to get a little right. I think in those situations like lucky for me, as you say, I was a couple of years older, had a bit of weekend work coming in, was starting to branch out and needed help, and you just had the drive. You needed cash, right?
Yeah, bloody oath. It was I'm just fortunate that, it's sort of...
You had a distraction.
Yeah.
Definitely, because I wouldn't have sat at home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I wouldn't have just sat at home and not gone out.
Yep.
Lucky I had the, that other thing that we're investing time into. And I suppose, you were now starting to look after your mental health.
Yep.
So what did that look like?
Mate, good people around me. I'm fortunate enough, so my friends then and my friends now, and those people, they're just actively conscious about their own mental health. So having that around me, it somewhat motivated me or pushed me to want to look after myself. And it wasn't like we just sat there and said, what are you doing today? How are you doing this? You just see what they're doing and you replicate it. You're like, you're going for a run? Cool, I might come with you. Or you're going to the gym, I'll do that. So actually having a really good network around me. Mate, I actually got into yoga, which segues into the yoga teaching. But yoga was another good thing for my own personal mental health.
What made you get into that? Did you have a mate going, or did you just take yourself down
there?
Yeah,
no, I had a mate going. So my best mate was at the time. He actually got diagnosed with a pretty hectic illness, and he just sort of got off grog. He had to take some serious steps forward, and yoga was one of them. And we lived together, and this is no word of lie. He's like, dude, you got to see the chicks down at yoga.
It's a Bo Robinson podcast. I was just saying that.
And I'm like, yeah, righto. And mate, so I went there, and I was like, yeah, wow, this is cool. However, it evolved. Man, it went from going, this is cool, and went from stretching to then feeling really good, and then I went sort of down the spiritual journey of yoga, and then breath work, and then just understanding how important breath is, and then also just allowing your body to lengthen. And mate, I was a duck to water. Like, I loved it.
Mate, that's awesome. Yeah, I've said on a few times, like Friday mornings, get down there with the missus and go and do yoga, and I love it. Yep. And the other thing too is meditation. Do you do any of that stuff?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Probably when this first started happening, I wasn't meditating at all. However, yoga was my moving meditation.
Yep.
However, now I meditate every morning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll refer 15 to 20.
Yep.
I do some Wim Hof breathing. I do 2 rounds of that.
What's that?
So Wim Hof is like, sorry, we're on. Oh no, we got the
in your nose, out your mouth.
In through my nose, out through my mouth. But in, out, and you're concentrating it pretty deeply, and you do that 30 times. Hold your breath. Not now.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then you hold as long as you can, and it fires up your mind and your brain, and it's fantastic. And then you release. You have maybe a 30-second break, and then I'll do another round of that, and then I'll hold. So you're oxygenating your body. You're getting your blood pumping, your brain firing. It's fucking awesome, man. And then I'll let that go, and then I start doing I've got a mantra that I say to all my affirmations. Which I say it every morning. I'm trying to do it for you, but I've forgotten it. But anyway, I say a mantra to myself, and then I do 3 things. What am I grateful for? And generally, I just look at the day before, and like, for example, tomorrow morning, I'll be grateful for this podcast. So 20 minutes. So, but just before that, I actually have a cold shower. Mate, that's how I start my day. Right. Cold shower.
I was I
in winter as well.
Yep. In winter.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
I saw I can't remember the name of the app, but it pretty much said all of those things.
Yep. Cool.
But it's amazing what, if you look back where you were when you first started, straight out of school, to what you're doing now. Do you
Wim Hof breathing?
Yeah. Do you think, like, back then, was it something obviously it wasn't on your horizon, but it was something that you sort of looked not down on, but sort of like, fuck, that's weird.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
That shit's got nothing to do with me.
Oh, mate, when I was at school, all I wanted to do was party and chase females, right? And I just wanted to be the cool kid. I wanted to be. I had FOMO. If you had a party and I wasn't invited, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do was party. And however, just different things. But the beauty is that I've been open to it. And I've just seen the benefits and I'm running with it. So and the beauty about my friendship circle now and lads, I strongly recommend it is when you find something that you really enjoy, just send it to them or say, hey, try this, or and you know, some might do it and some might, but it's really good to share.
What are the benefits of yoga? What do you find? What do you get? Tell us what you get out of it.
The grilling.
For people who have never turned themselves into a pretzel before.
Well, if you like endorphin rushes, it's a great way. Like the best pose, Shavasana.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Which is the final pose, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you just lay there and go, ugh. And mate, that like if you have a great yoga class, you will have the best Shavasana experience. But what do I love about it? I'm stretching, which like how many times do you you get up and you're like, and you do a stretch and you're like, oh gee, that feels good.
Yeah.
But then you're getting a bit of a workout. I tend to I like hot yoga, not Bikram yoga, which we might go down the creepy road. But
Netflix.
It's a little bit cooler than Bikram. I think it's set at 31, not 36, but I could be wrong. But anyway, 28 to 31. But I just like to get the sweat on, so you're pushing toxins out.
Yep.
But then what it is, and lads, it's you're working on you.
Yeah,
like it's just you at the yoga class. There's no competition. You know, I know sometimes like, I got to stretch further than that person, but you know that's your ego. However, if you can just be in check, just go for the class, and you are working on yourself. And that's the one thing. It was me time. It was my time. It was my ability to work on me.
Now, how you're running a business?
Yep.
You've got staff. Where are you finding time to go to yoga?
Mate, you just make it. Honestly, like that's the one thing that we all share in common is time. Like we've all got 24 hours in a day. However, for me, it's a priority. And it's not just necessarily yoga. It's me just taking that hour of power. And I'll give you a saying that I've learning, win the morning, win the day. And if I can get to yoga or I can do some form of exercise in the morning, hence why I think the importance of movement, I win my day. That's me. And hopefully that works for other people. But if you can win that morning, you can do something for yourself where you're exercising or moving, man, your day is gold. So that's where I find. And the other thing, I just get up earlier.
Yep.
Like I was up at 3:30 this morning.
Yeah.
I went to the gym at 4:15 because I wanted to win that morning because I knew today of the importance of today with this podcast, and I wanted to be alert.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a bit of the Mamba mentality, which which has been huge at the moment. I mean, Kobe Bryant was a massive one for 4 a.m. starts his entire career, still after his career. Well, I guess it's just that drive.
There's a massive benefit to it. I mean, I'm a 5:30 man, and it's just straight, no snooze, bang up, straight in ablutions, put the DTs on, bloody joggers straight down to the gym.
Yep, nice.
And then I have found the improvement with just literally not physically, just my mental health.
Yep.
Being able to come into the office and I make a thing now, like on the drive into work, I'm going, righto, these are the 3 things or 4 things I've got to get done today. I've got to action that. These are the meetings I've got on. And it's just like, righto, you're away. Rather than getting out of bed late, rushing through breakfast, not seeing the missus, rushing out the door, getting to work, being in a huff, and then being like, fuck, what am I supposed to do here today? I think the ability to have that structure in the morning and give yourself time. I think actually getting out of bed earlier just gives you more fucking time. You know, I'm not rushing to get to work. You're not rushing off. You've got time to sit there and think and figure out what's going on.
And what I like about it is the earth is quiet.
Yeah.
As in there's no real traffic on the road. There's like no one's going to be, not many people are going to be calling you at 5:30 in the morning going, where are you?
Yeah.
It's just quiet and it's great. And the only other thing, getting up early is one thing, but don't be going to bed at midnight trying to get up at 5. I honestly, lads, I need 7 hours minimum. So that's my tip. Like, try and get your 8 hours. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, they say 6, but 7 to 8's perfect. And like, mate, lads, I'll go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I've got no problem with it now.
For anyone out there that's trying to set up their structure, if you've got an iPhone, you know the bedtime app? I think you showed me that.
Oh, yeah. I like
the bedtime app. You don't have to download anything, people. Just get onto your clock and put it on. It is the best. Like, you just set it and it'll tell you the time. It'll give you an alarm to go to bed.
15-minute warning.
Can I give you a challenge, boys?
Okay, yes.
Honestly, get your phone out of your room.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, please, it has been the best thing that I've done. I don't have kids, so if you got kids, I can get it, particularly if they're teenagers or whatever that age where, they could call you. Totally get it. However, until that time, get that phone out of your room. It is the best thing. I've got an old iPad, right, with no apps. It's got a sleep cycle app on there, an alarm clock. That's it.
No Netflix?
No Netflix and chill. That's Sundays. But no, it's just got nothing on there, and I don't use it for the internet. It is connected, but I don't use it for searching or anything. It's literally just an alarm clock. And getting this beautiful / evil device out of my room has been the best thing that I've done.
Do you read at night?
Yes, but I read a hard book.
Yeah, because that's one thing that I've one of the goals I set this year was to read one book in January. I read 2, and it's I know. We spoke about that in the Monday morning meeting. If you remember, Derek.
Smashed it out.
Yes, very pumped. Third book, they're 3 books I've read in my life now. I read 2 in a month, so I'm pretty pumped about that. But literally that phone away, because me and my wife would just, be in there, be watching bloody Stan, Ron Swanson until, 10:30 at night. Yep. And you're not communicating, you're not sleeping properly, and you're lethargic the next day. Like me reading at night now, I can feel myself, getting tired. I'm like, okay, sweet, that's it, lights off, and away I go. And I feel like I've accomplished something because I've learnt something before I've gone to bed, and I've not just been. You see it all the time. You just sit there and you're scrolling through your phone, just fucking aimlessly, just wasting time. Yep. It's such a waste. And
that's the thing. Like, you had to go through your 20s. You had to go through the party scene, the hungover scene, all that kind of scene to bring you to where you are today. And that's why you can't judge your past, right? You just got to...
Well, you wouldn't be here without it.
Correct. And to tie it back to losing the 2 lads, as tragic as it's been, it's put me on a journey of trying to understand myself a little bit more, because at the end of the day, you got to... the person you got to look after is you. If you look after you can look after others.
So, with Mental Awareness Foundation, it's been going for how long now?
We're coming up to our 10th walk, so
that's awesome.
9 years. Yep.
So obviously you've got a heavy focus, as we've just discussed, on physical exercise and the benefits of exercise for your mental health. And I mean, the numbers are just cranking up, and it looks like an awesome event. I see you and Tudor up there on the stage. I've seen the videos leading the stretch.
Big Aaron Applefield. He's a fan there every year. I think he was videoing it, and you guys are up there doing your big
doing our claps
song.
Where do you hope to take it? What's your sort of vision for the Mental Awareness Foundation?
Well, we had our board strategy meeting this week.
Give us the goss.
The goss. Listen, lads. The goal is to go national. So we are putting the steps in place to take it to Sydney. I'd love to try and get to a rural place, but obviously Sydney, Melbourne's a little bit easier because of the size of the places. Then also where the Mental Awareness Foundation is actually looking at we're in the early development stage of creating some workshops as well for corporates. However, our goal is just to bring more awareness to create a walk of celebration. Like, I understand it's obviously suicide prevention and awareness towards depression, but it's bringing light, showing light onto it. So we just want to spread that out. So the goss is, we're going national and potentially across the ditch.
Do you find that a lot of people who attend the walk and raise money as well, they've had a direct experience with suicide, and it's a bit of a coping mechanism as well for them?
Yeah. So one of the things that we've noticed with the walk, obviously it's gone from a tribute to Dave and Christian, but now it's a community tribute, and the amount of shirts people are wearing with pictures of their loved ones that they've lost, it's rather eye-opening, but also beautiful at the same time. So a lot of our biggest donors has been touched directly. We actually had 2 years ago, we had a girl who literally lost a friend 3 days before the walk. And the walk was her being able to bring courage to that situation. We've got a lovely old couple of forgotten the names unfortunately, but they're beautiful. They come every year. They only had one son and they lost him to suicide, but they feel that walk, it's safe. There's no judgment, and people love coming down there because they feel like they're in a community where they can talk about either their struggles or their issues, or not even talk about anything like that. They just know that they feel like they're in a like-minded environment, and people are there for their own well-being. So.
Which is a huge thing.
Yep.
Which is a huge thing. I mean, for people that have lost someone like that, to be surrounded by people that can show empathy and understanding is probably the biggest thing.
Well
because
said.
People just do not understand.
And that's the thing about the event now. Like, the event itself is a strategy. It's a strategy to get people outside. It's a strategy to get people talking. It's a strategy to bring a community together. And it's a strategy to have people in a safe environment. And I could keep going on and on and on, that sunlight and nature and all this kind of stuff, but it's just about getting people moving and talking. And we actually encourage people to talk to a stranger, someone you don't know. And, not that go into detail, it's more just say, hey, I'm Wes, who are you?
Yeah. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
No, I'm walking. What are you doing?
Exactly. I think it's a massive thing. But I asked my wife this the other day. Yep. I was like, how many adult-aged people do you think work out, at least 3 times a week? How many people do you think, on a percentage level across Australia? People that are, between the ages of 20 and 60.
Mate, unfortunately, Australia has, from a per capita perspective, the most overweight people in the world. Now, I could be wrong, but we're either 1 or 2.
We're pretty up there.
So we're pretty up there. Like you and I see, we generally see people, because it's our friendship circle, that work out, right? So a lot of our people that we hang out with do some form of exercise, but it's the people you don't see.
Yeah, because I was, the gym that I go to just there in Norman Park, like, I couldn't even imagine how many people live around there. But, I went in there on a Saturday the other day and there was me and 2 other people.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, there's a collective amount of, I'm not saying people need to work out on a Saturday. I'm just saying I would like to know how many people are actually prioritising looking after their physical health, because it seems to be something that they get to a point where it's so much harder to come back.
Yeah.
And it's the same with mental health too. People get themselves to a point where it's so much harder to come back. Yep. And if it's just, that more preventative, weekly looking after ourselves is when it's going to have such a longevity of wellness,
Well, I think it's probably just like what we're talking about, yoga and exercise and getting outside. They don't obviously prevent you from, going through your own struggles, but they do provide healthy outlets for when shit does hit the fan, because it inevitably will, right?
Well said. And it's a tool in a toolbox. Right, going to a yoga class, it's not going to solve your problem, but it's going to give you a little bit of relief, or perhaps it's going to give you some insight that you might not have had before, or getting outside and going for a walk. It's just these little strategies or these little tools that we can implement. And you don't have to do everything, but it's just, maybe I go once a week. Maybe I go for a couple of walks a week. Maybe I, don't eat 10 meals a day, just eat less and drink less. Maybe I'll have 1 beer rather than 10 beers. It's just
I think
little strategies.
I think it's a really important thing. It's like I actually think of it of people that say religion, for instance, right? Some people like, I thought you were religious, but you've done this bad thing. It's like, well, you can still be religious. You can still stuff up. Doesn't mean you're fucking perfect or you're an angel. And it's the same thing with your mental health and your physical health. You don't need to be a fucking angel all the time. It's as long as you're working on it to some capacity. I think that's such an important part. It's like, I don't do that. It's like, well, why not?
I think if I can just reach out to your viewers, anything that I can encourage is just try and figure out, and even if it means you're writing it down or whatever, but try and work out some tools or some strategies or some things that you can do that work for you that make you feel better. So when you are feeling down, perhaps that's going for a walk, or perhaps that's just going to your favourite park, or perhaps that's even just sitting out on the back deck and having a cup of tea. Try and work out a few of those things that make your mental health or your brain quieten down a little bit, and then just remember what they are, so that when you go deep into that cave, sometimes it's like, well, what can I do to pull myself out? It's like, well, I've actually, when I'm really down, I can go for that walk, or I can go sit on that cup of tea and sit out under that tree that I love.
The other thing is that I don't think people do enough of is just trying new things. Like we've talked a lot about yoga. There'll be a lot of people who have never tried yoga and just assume that it's, hippy dippy or whatever. It's like
it's cool, man.
Give it a crack. Like just go and try things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Bloody oath. That's the key takeaway from this podcast. Get out and try something new.
Because the thing is we're not talking, things that help settle you, like going to the pub and drinking 10 schooners. Like we're trying to impart healthy coping mechanisms across the board.
Yeah. Have 10 kombuchas.
Go to
Don't have 10 kombuchas.
Go to a bloody dance class,
Yeah.
Cooking's great, like, you know what I mean? Like, even just cooking.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How's your diet changed? What have you done differently there?
Boys, one thing I've come to learn is as we get older, we definitely need to eat less. And so I'm a big believer in I'm heading pretty hard down the rabbit hole of intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So I'll actually not eat between 16 to 18 hours in a day, and then I'll have a window of between 6 to 8. Now, am I religious with that every day? Absolutely not. However, I've been pretty bloody consistent, and I actually love the fasting wrap. If you're listening to this, there's a great app called Zero. It really helps. And actually, there's a new app that I found. It's called Less. It actually tracks your drinking. So I've just engaged that, so you can actually see, obviously it's user generated, so you've got to put in data. But the Zero app's fantastic. And boys, I pretty much now, I'm 39. During the week, I'll probably have one meal a day. However, if you're like, oh, listen, come over for dinner, I'm not going to go, no, I'm sorry, I'm fasting. I'll just, I'll have dinner with you lads, and then I'll fast for 16 hours after that. So
I did try. I was doing that for...
It's not for everyone, just so you know, but it just works for me.
Yeah, I reckon I did it for at least 3 months last year. I was just drinking the black coffee and water. I just noticed that in the end, I was just getting to a point where I was really starting to get fatigued, I felt. And I was sort of on the weekends, I was using that time to recover and then go back through for the other week. And now I've come back to, I'm just having smoothies in the morning, just straight fruit and like coconut water.
Awesome.
And I've just noticed that that's been able to punch me through. I make an omelette. Been into omelettes as well, if anyone out there.
Heavy omelette guy.
Love an omelette.
What do you go? Just egg whites?
Mix them together, you turkey. Who's going to cut them up in the morning? Just whip them up. Put a bit of milk in there.
You don't cut them.
Oh, you know what I mean. Just the old half egg. Whoop, 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 whoop. No one's got time for that.
Oh, and you should. You get up early. You make more hours in the day.
You know what I mean. And but yeah, having that and then just packing a lighter lunch, I've noticed my energy levels have stayed consistent through the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you hear the word that you mentioned there? Light.
Yeah.
Lighter,
yeah.
I this is just my opinion. Like when we're conditioned from kids, breakfast, little lunch, afternoon tea, dinner. So dessert. So there's just so much. We're just pounding our bodies so much full of food, and
it's marketing.
Marketing. And when you're growing, it's important, right? But as we get a bit older, you just realize I don't need all those meals. But if you're listening to this, the thing is just lighter. Just having lighter meals, and or the 5 and 2 scenario, 5 really good days, 2 little blowout days, but it's all what works for you. And mate, you've tried the fasting thing, well done, and it your energy levels went down, and mate, also like at least you were aware of it. However, it works for me. So
bloody oath, I reckon that's the most important point of this. Is not. There's not one set of rules for fucking everyone. It's just whatever's working for you. You don't need to sort of...
And this is the journey like which I've been over the last 9 years. I've little taking snippets from here, taking a bit from here, taking something from there. So, the meditation things really only come about in the last 2 years. The yoga thing came in from obviously a friend, but the mental health benefits was huge. Exercise was obviously my coping strategy when I lost my 2 mates. And then now the eating lighter thing has just come about in the last sort of 12 months, only because I was just eating so much food and I put on weight and I just wasn't happy with myself. And I'm just like, I just got to eat less.
That little pull out of everyone, that was one of the first things that I remember Dad told me when I finished school was like, you don't need to go copy people. Yep. Just pull the best little bits out of what everyone's doing, and holy shit, it's a revelation. It's the best thing.
One of the big things that you touched on as well when you talked about it with your intermittent fasting, that's a mouthful of
words. Got that out, Derek. Well done. Tick.
Is if you stuff it up or if you fall off the wagon a little bit, like, who gives a shit? Just
don't
get
judge yourself.
back on, you know what I mean? Like, it's fine to make mistakes, like you were talking about, you know, with the religion. You just do the best you can.
Yeah, correct.
And that's okay. Like, and don't crucify yourself if you do slip up.
Yep. Yeah, but, and just smile.
Yeah.
And just go.
And no, everyone makes a mistake.
Correct.
And I think I wrote a LinkedIn post the other day after the Australia Day long weekend, and I reckon this, not backed by data, but I reckon Australia Day long weekend would be where at least 70 to 80% of people who have set goals for the year fuck it up in the long weekend, and then they go back to it.
Yep.
I think it's such a massive turning point for people in the beginning of the year to sort of go, well, I did it for 3 weeks. It's probably enough.
Yeah, well, hopefully they change the date and, you know, get it.
Yeah, change it to May 8.
Mate.
Would it be? Oh, mate, I was going to say, what's the 4th? The May 4th?
That's Star Wars. That's Star Wars
Day.
Yeah, but mate, thank you. Totally appropriate.
May the 4th is taken, Wes. What's next? What's next for you? You're obviously quite focused on getting your lifestyle right. What sounds like it's really in a good place. What's next for you? Expanding MAF. Trusted's taken off.
Yeah, no, and mate, very blessed. Listen, I think it's just looking after me because I do have a lot of I guess you could say external stresses or pressure to make the Mental Awareness Foundation work and to make Trusted. We've got 17 staff, plus we want to grow and change an industry. Mate, what's next for me is just looking after me, brother. And now I'm fortunate enough that I'm old enough and wise enough. So, for example, what's next? I'm taking some time off the booze. I'm off. I just celebrated my birthday the other day.
Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you. It was just, it was a bit of a weekend of heavy drinking. And I was, the Sunday I just didn't feel good. And, I had a great time, but I was just like, no, so I'm taking some time off. But just, boys, getting back to winning my morning, winning my day, finding my routines that work for me and just doubling down on that because I'm a big believer in giving back and the secret to living is giving. And I just want to be able to sort of be in tune with myself so I can be in tune with the world.
Bloody wise words, Wes. Really, really cool stuff, mate.
Awesome. It's been a great chat. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Thoroughly.
Cheers, lads.
It was great.
We'll have to do a follow up sometime down the track.
And I just appreciate what you lads are doing too. And thank you for persisting and trying to get us on. But well done,
mate.
Honestly,
thanks, mate.
I've seen you guys grow from, the Norcon.
Dickhead Norcon chippies.
They were the Norcon days, and
God, he said Norcon.
But and just seeing where you guys have come, I'm really proud. And
Thanks,
and we're in the journey together. We're in the mental health sphere, and I dare say I'll be buying some shirts too. So,
mate, thank you, and likewise back at you, mate. I think congratulations if people don't say it enough, what you've managed to achieve with MAF, all while growing a business with your brother and looking after yourself as well. Credit to you.
And grieving 2 mates. I mean, it's fucking huge, mate. Congratulations on what you guys are doing, and we'll be there this year.
Yeah, so I guess I'll segue into the walk.
Bloody oath.
The 11th, I had to think about it, but no, it's the 11th of October, so it's the main mental health week walk. Registrations are open. Actually, we've got the early bird going, so you can get on the $15 buy-in.
Get in and get that worm.
You get a shirt. Yeah, get in, early bird gets the worm. Walkforawareness.org.au. All the details are there. Sunday the 11th. Now, just so you know, it's pet-friendly.
Yes.
You got the new dog.
Little Jerry Seinfeld will be there.
Can he walk that far? How far's the walk?
It's 8Ks.
Lance can carry him.
8Ks?
8Ks, yep.
God, he's going to... Yeah.
It's going to be buggered. It's wheelchair-friendly as well. Pram friendly, so if you've got kids, it's tailored for everyone, families, any community, gay, straight, whatever. We want you to come down because at the end of the day, mental health doesn't discriminate. It's a safe environment and it's fun and it's all about celebration. And I can tell you, it's a great vibe and it's great mornings. It starts early, finishes early, and I think at the end of the day, max price is like $30, but you get a shirt and a bag and all that cool stuff. So.
Awesome, mate.
And you've said to us before we came in here that we'll put the details for Trusted, with this podcast. But anyone who books a pest session gets a free yoga session with Wes, right?
100%.
Yeah,
you've got to spend over $3,000, but that's fine.
And for anyone worried about their holiday house in Manila at the moment, just get it sprayed out by Trusted before you fly over.
We're in Cebu to be precise, but expanding.
But we do travel.
We do travel. But,
I'm surprised you knew the capital of the Philippines.
Lance just flew there last week, so I'm lucky.
I'll give you something to finish on. Use the best, Trusted Pest.
Hey, love it.
Is that a jingle? Is there a jingle in that?
Yeah, well, I made it up. It's my jingle.
Yeah, it's mine.
Righto. Well, that's a pretty good place to finish it up, mate. Wes, it's been an absolute pleasure. Awesome to hear from you. Look forward to watching you kick goals, mate. Thank you very much.
We'll kick them together.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, lads.